Welcome to the latest installment in our podcast series, which we call the Crude Report. It looks at important developments or trends in the crude markets globally. My name is Jeff Kralowetz, and I'm joined today by Amanda Smith, a deputy editor of our crude market reporting team. And that's the group that covers the news in North American crude markets and produces our nightly price assessments for key grades in the US and Canada. Amanda is the deputy editor for pipeline markets. So welcome, Amanda.
Thanks. Hello, everyone.
Amanda, today we want to get your insight on markets for Bakken light sweet crude from North Dakota and Montana, as well as the light crude that trades at Guernsey, Wyoming. And we particularly care about these new cumulative month average prices that Argus just started publishing this week. Those are being published for grades at Patoka, for the DAPL injection points in North Dakota, and for the light sweet crude at Guernsey, Wyoming. And I'm hoping you can just give us an idea of how these new cumulative month average prices work. What do they represent?
Sure. So the month average for this cumulative price is going to be a volume weighted average of all the trades done over the entire US pipeline trade month put into one average. So all the trades done from the beginning, so roughly 2 months prior to delivery on about the 26th through the end of the US pipeline trade month, so roughly the 25th of the month prior to delivery. They'll all be put into one weighted average. Every day, we're going to see this cumulative weighted average, throughout the trade month. It's going to build as you go. So we started publishing these prices in the far right column where the other US prices are. So you'll see for Patoka, for DAPL, and Guernsey, there's a cumulative average. And so every day as you go along, it's going to have through that date a volume weighted average of all the deals done for that grade for that trade month through that day. So
yeah. No, that's great. So I think that the question on a lot of people's minds is going to be, why are we doing this and why are we doing it now? In a lot of ways, this is very much the way Canadian brokers offer their month average indexes. And, we know that a lot of the traders in these markets have in the past used Canadian broker indexes.
So companies in these Bakken markets and in the Guernsey market in the past, that a lot of them have typically used the NE2 net energy month average prices as their local price index. And so then, when NE2 lost the broker team, some traders in these markets switched to using the CCI group of brokers, for example. But so now that group is breaking up. And so then we've introduced this cumulative price. We did start offering daily volume weighted averages for these grades in the fall, but then just this week, we've also launched these cumulative prices.
So I guess the answer is really we're trying to step in to provide a service that has kind of waned or gone away.
Right.
Yeah. And we definitely want to thank, we started publishing these numbers in September and October of 2022. And we have gotten a lot of support on those markets so far. Just some examples on the Patoka market, we now get about 170,000 barrels a day of reported trade. That's about the same level of reported trade we've had at Cushing on Bakken. At DAPL in North Dakota, we're getting about 100,000 barrels a day of reported trade. And at Guernsey, we've been getting 35,000 barrels a day of reported trade. And as of today, January 11th, we've already exceeded that number. So it looks like Guernsey is going to have, even more trade behind it. So these are already, just a few months in, very robust price assessments. But the problem is that some traders have not been entirely comfortable with the way Argus figures our month average numbers, which has been just to take the arithmetic average of every day's published price. maybe Amanda, you could explain how our new month average price is different from that, how it mirrors more what the Canadian brokers have offered in the past.
Sure. So in most of the US and Canadian markets, Argus publishes there are trade month averages for each month are the arithmetic average of each day's published price. So on each day, our published price is set by the volume weighted average of deals done, but the month average price is set by a simple arithmetic average of the published prices each day. And so that's the accepted way. That's how traders are used to. So like down for the Gulf Coast markets, for Midland, that's what traders are comfortable with. But a lot of the traders in the Bakken and Rocky Mountains and the Guernsey market that we've been discussing, they've objected to that, especially the Guernsey market, which is a smaller market and less liquid. And they have expressed that they would prefer, or many of them have expressed that they would prefer to have a month average set only by actual deals done and not by averaging in all these days. And some of those days may be when there wasn't any trade that took place that we do an intelligent assessment so that they would feel more comfortable with the method that they'd used in the past with some of those Canadian brokers and would like a volume weighted average that puts all the trades in one bucket, so to speak, regardless of which day that trade occurred on.
Okay, and just to emphasize or repeat, the new month average prices that we have begun publishing for DAPL and Patoka and Guernsey are set by the volume weighted average of all the trades done during the trade month, which is different, which is different from how we used to do it.
Exactly. So we heard that, the projection, and so now we are also providing this cumulative average price. It's in the same column and the far right column in our report, and it's going to be set by the volume weighted average of deals done so far in the trade month, and only deals done. So if there's 20 Guernsey deals done in that month, then our final Guernsey month average price, that cumulative month average price, will be a volume weighted average of those 20 deals. These cumulative volume weighted averages are in addition to our current methodology. So we're still publishing the trade month arithmetic average of daily assessments over the trade month. So we're still going to publish our daily volume weighted averages and then our final trade month averages. And that's a tool for companies to use if they choose to keep using that or use that. But since we've been told that this cumulative VWA of deals done is the way that these markets want to do their contracts, then we're providing that as well. Well, as you know, Jeff, our biggest goal in price reporting is always to try to reflect the market as it trades and to be a tool for the industry to use and how they want things reflected. So that's why we've launched these new cumulative trade month average prices.
So that prompts the next question, which is we've kind of adopted this Canadian style of month average in several markets, but we're not offering that in Clearbrook or at Cushing. Why aren't we doing it there?
So in the Cushing market, we believe that people have been happy with that, and the average that the trade month average is the average of the daily volume weighted averages. That's the feedback that we've gotten. This is partly because there's a pretty high volume of trade, so you don't see as many days in the month where there's not trade. And part of that also is that the liquidity is spread across the month. So these markets, we're talking about the Canadian dates, and so they're more comfortable with those dates because they're trading more during those dates. But in the Cushing market, you see the trade is spread out further, and they're used to that methodology because again, that's the common daily VWA into a final trade month arithmetic average. That's the common way of doing things. More south, so like in Midland and the Gulf Coast, that's the common way to do the trade month averages. Yeah. Now up in Minnesota at Clearbrook, we have another issue, and that's at this time we're not yet getting sufficient volume of reported trades to offer that cumulative volume weighted average of trades. That's something we would definitely be interested, and we have seen it increase in reported trade. And that's something that we're looking at still.
Okay, so here's another clarifying issue. Our new monthly VWAs at Patoka and DAPL and Guernsey include all the trades done during the US pipeline trade month. So that means that a trade done on the 28th of the month, 2 months before injection, in other words, 2 or 3 days before the Canadian trade starts, will be included in our monthly index. Also, a trade done on, let's say, the 21st of the month before injection, which is several days after the Canadian trade window would have closed, that will also be included. So we're following the US trade month. Can you talk us through that?
Sure. So you're right. Our published monthly cumulative VWA will include trades done anytime in the US pipeline trade month. So this final price will include all the trades done during the Canadian trade cycle. So that's usually from the month prior to delivery, the first business day of the calendar month, through the NOS date, which usually occurs in the middle of or always occurs in the middle of the month prior to delivery. So our cumulative VWA for the month will also include trades done a little bit before that and a little bit after that. So a little bit before that because the US pipeline trade month has already rolled to the next month. And then we'll include trade a little bit after that, all the way until when the US pipeline trade month rolls to the next month. So that's typically around the 25th of the calendar month prior to delivery. But I would make a couple points about that. So first, we do think that these markets are becoming increasingly aligned with the Mid-Continent PADD 2 refiners and Gulf Coast PADD 3 refiners. So they're used to buying crude on a US pipeline timing. So they're getting more tied together. So we could see trade getting more distributed throughout the US pipeline month for these other grades, or for the grades that we're talking about, the DAPL, Patoka, Guernsey markets. Another thing, or second point, is that by including more trade days, we think we provide a more comprehensive view of the market across the entirety of the trade month, so across all the days that it could be trading. And then finally, if traders do prefer to use only the deals done in the Canadian trade cycle for their volume weighted averages in their contracts, they can choose to specify that in their contract. Anyone with a subscription to the Argus Americas Crude or Argus Crude Reports, they can log in, they can see a database of deals done. So those deals, it's going to list the deals, their volume, their price, and the date that the trade was done. So they could have the choice of downloading the deals done during those Canadian trade cycle days and calculating a volume weighted average to go into their contract should they choose to do that.
So that just gives traders yet another option for structuring their contracts. I think that one of the benefits that these new volume weighted average monthly numbers provide is that they include deals reported to us from multiple brokers, both in the US and Canada, as well as a number of companies who've agreed to directly report their Bakken and Guernsey trades to us. So we're thankful for that. We think that makes these a really robust numbers for contracts. But how do you see all this helping traders?
So, like you said, we get information from multiple sources. Our editorial team, we go through, we match up transactions, make sure we don't double count, and we put it into one place for the data. So that means that traders who are in these markets don't have to average multiple broker indexes at the end of each month. So they have different options. So they can choose if they want to use those daily weighted averages, volume weighted averages, they could use that, or these new cumulative, use the end price of the cumulative trade month average that we're discussing, or they could also have an access to our database of every trade that's been reported to us. But our deals are capturing trade for multiple brokers, marketers, and traders, putting it into one location, and so that, I think we are making it easier on traders and to use this as a tool in contracts.
Well, that's a good point to wrap up on. We're trying to make things easier for traders. Maybe one last point as the biz dev guy. that I'd like to make is that we're aware that many of the smaller companies in the Bakken market or the Guernsey market aren't currently subscribed to the Argus Americas Crude Report or the international version, the Argus Crude. But we don't want the cost of an Argus subscription to get in the way of having these Bakken and Guernsey markets develop. We want to see people use these prices because we think that these prices are the most likely to spur the launch of financial contracts on the exchanges. And that means more transparent markets, cheaper hedging, more accurate hedging, and trade, the possibility of trading down the forward curve, which is now very difficult or even impossible to do. So again, as the biz dev guy, I'd like to ask small participants listening to this podcast in these markets to contact us about getting access to these Bakken prices and the deals database that we talked about, which lists every trade done in these markets all through the month by volume, date of trade, and price. And I'd encourage the larger participants in the market who maybe already are Argus subscribers, let us know if there are counterparties of yours that we should reach out to help to get access to Argus pricing. We're committed to filling the gap in service that emerged in the wake of the NE2 business disruption and other, changes in markets. So we want to do what's necessary to make these Bakken markets work and grow. The same is true with the Guernsey market.
Yes, definitely. So, and then I also would like to add that the editorial team is, we would love to talk with market participants about what's going on in the markets, what the fundamentals, what they're seeing, what we're seeing. Of course, we don't share confidential information, but just sort of different things that are going on, what's impacting prices, answer questions about methodology. We really like to have a dialogue with our subscribers and with interested parties if possible. So of course we can't tell you the end of day price assessment, what that's going to be, but we'd love to chat with traders and analysts and such.
So finally, we know there's a lot more to say about Bakken markets, and we're planning to do a full webinar on this topic in the next couple of weeks. I think it's coming out the 6th of February. And that'll be available free of charge to anyone who wants to register and listen to it. You can check the webinar section of argusmedia.com, our website, to find the registration page to register for that. I will say I don't think that page has been opened yet, but it should within the next couple of days. And meantime, thanks for listening to this podcast. We hope we've answered some questions about the new monthly averages. If you have questions about our Bakken coverage or any other crude markets, you can get in touch with us using email at houstoncrude@argusmedia.com, or call the office and ask for us by name, Amanda Smith, Jeff Kralowetz, or you can use Ice Chat to get in touch with us. Finally, we're going to continue to do these podcasts whenever there's something interesting going on in crude markets, really anywhere in the world. So please check us out on the continuing podcast series, The Crude Report. Thanks.